There we go.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Jody. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our November general meeting. If you can believe it, we are halfway through the league year. We will start off and just do a little bit of housekeeping. I think we have right up front. If you want to go to the next slide, Jody. So first, this isn't on a slide, but would also just like to remind folks, if you can keep your Zoom muted, keep yourselves muted while you're not speaking so that we can minimize background noise. And then our host can also mute folks if you need an assist on that. But if you can keep your line muted while we go through, that'll help make sure everybody's able to hear. And then also, as I mentioned at first, to the folks that were on a little bit earlier, we need your help to make sure that we can easily assign you credit for participating in this general meeting. So if you can change your Zoom name to whatever your name is listed as in the JLD directory, that'll make it super easy for the GM committee to be able to go through and assign credit. So how you do that is you go to the participants list down at the bottom bar, click on that, find your name, hover over your name, and you can click or right click, and it'll give you an option to rename, and then just type in whatever your name is for the JLD. So that'll let us assign credit. If for some reason someone's having trouble doing that, or you're on the phone and not able to, reach out to the GM committee, right, Jody? And they can still update that on the back end, but you'll make it a whole lot easier for everybody if we can get as many folks to update their names and be able to assign that on the front end without having to track folks down. So thanks in advance for doing that. We can go to the next. Perfect. So wanted to start out our meeting as we did at our last GM by doing a land acknowledgement. And this is a practice that was recommended to us by our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. They're going to hear a lot more about here in just a second. And from a training perspective, I thought it was helpful for these first few meetings to both read the statement, but to also talk about what a land acknowledgement is and why we're doing it. So a land acknowledgement is a formal statement that recognizes and respects Indigenous peoples as traditional stewards of this land and the enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous peoples and their traditional territories. And so our DEI committee has drafted a statement for the league that we are going to start using at all of our general meetings. So I will read that next. Throughout history, over 100 different tribal nations have occupied the lands we now know as the state of Colorado. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, the Junior League of Denver acknowledges that we are gathered today on the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, Ute, and Sioux. This area was also the site of trade, hunting, gathering, and healing for numerous other native tribes. We recognize the Indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land, and we honor with gratitude the descendant communities of these tribes. All right. So next, I wanted to just say a couple things before we dive into our program. I'm so excited to be hearing from our DEI committee tonight, and we have an awesome speaker lined up for you all. But before we do that, I wanted to just for a minute talk about 2020 and self-care. So perhaps the most overused term of the last 8 to 9 months, but one that I think is so important, something that Jody and I and the GM committee have been talking about, and just recognizing that we're in what can be a challenging season for a lot of folks in normal years, and is a challenging season and a challenging year for a lot of people. We're 8 to 9 months in to the pandemic and other issues facing our world right now. And so I wanted to just take a minute to first say thank you to all of you for continuing to stay engaged in the league this year and to give back to our community, to give back to each other, and be part of our work together. There's a lot of things you could be doing with your time right now. And I feel really, really grateful that you're choosing to spend that time, some of that time with the league, and that you're here tonight. And then to just say, you know, for all of us, myself included, maybe I need to say it out loud so I'll internalize it, but to take time for yourselves over these next couple of months, whatever that looks like, to unplug, buy something for yourself, read a book, whatever it is that you do that refills your tank, to make that time for yourself as well when you're giving so much to other people, and to also give grace to each other, and most importantly to yourselves. We're all here for each other. I hope that you're feeling connected by being part of the league right now, and that you have people that you can lean on, and the league is certainly here for you. All right, next slide. So wanted to just set up our primary portion of the call this evening. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is one of our priorities for our league this year. And we're really building on a lot of work that's happened in previous years. I won't go into that too deeply because Kelsey's going to talk about it, but wanted to just express how important I think that this work is, how impressed I've been in seeing the work that has happened, the interest in diversity, equity, and inclusion that we've seen across the league from our members already this year, and how excited I am for us to be having this conversation and having this training here tonight. So we are going to move through the rest of the agenda, starting with Kelsey is going to talk a bit about what our DEI committee has been working on and a little bit of the history of that work. And then we have an amazing keynote speaker teed up for you. And then after that, just so folks know kind of how the rest of the evening is going to flow, we're also going to have a presentation from our membership committee, exciting update on some work that they've been doing. We'll hear from our fundraising council and a couple of other league announcements to wrap us up. So with that, without further ado, I would love to introduce our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chair, Kelsey Rogstad, and you can take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Melanie. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you all tonight. It's nice to see so many faces and hear so many familiar names in the chat box. So I'm excited to be here with you. Like Melanie said, I'm going to spend just a little time giving just a little background on where the Junior League of Denver is with our DEI work and a little preview of what's upcoming for us, I guess we'll say. So Jody, can you scoot us ahead? One more. Perfect. So I wanted to start out by sharing with you all just a little background of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the Junior League of Denver. So by knowing where we've been, that helps frame where we are going moving forward. So in 2014, AJLI recognized a need to focus on diversity and inclusion. And so they came out with an inclusivity statement that was recommended by the AJLI, and the Junior League of Denver did adopt that statement. As I think is common with a lot of organizations, we adopted the statement and then it was kind of like, okay, what happens next? And so there was a little lull while we were trying to figure that out. Thankfully, AJLI saw this as a priority as well and started putting together resources to help leagues get moving on this work. And so in the 2017-2018 league year, the Denver Board of Directors really caught on to the need for this work and approved the creation of a diversity and inclusion special committee. And on that special committee last year, we had about 10 women that began working on that. And our work last year was primarily around looking at the needs of our league, as well as looking at what other leagues were doing. There's kind of a spectrum to this work, and I would say the Junior League of Denver is kind of right in the middle. There are some leagues that are further behind in this work than us, and there are certainly some leagues that are further ahead in this work, which is great for us to be able to connect with them and see what they're doing and what has worked for them. And so in researching that, and thinking about that work, and through the leadership of the league, we determined that we needed the DEI work to become permanent because it's something that we believe in and that we want to make sure is a part of our league moving forward. And so we were able to make that a permanent placement. This year is our first year to be a placement. It was a placement through Leadership Lottery. We have 9 committee members this year and are working on that work beginning this year. Additionally, I have had the opportunity through Melanie and her leadership and Julia's leadership previously to sit on the board as an advisory position, just to help make sure that this DEI work is not just siloed into one committee or one council, but that we have touch points with it throughout the league. And so I've been able to participate in that, as well as last year sitting in the strategic planning committee. If you will, Jody, move us forward one more slide. This is just a very brief glimpse of kind of the work that is happening now. We determined the need to have some specific DEI goals for our strategic plan, and those are being written right now through our committee work and in partnership with the VPs and VPEs of all of the councils. And so there was a survey process that went out, and we are currently in the rough draft writing phase of a diversity, equity, and inclusion strategic plan right now that we are hoping to present to the board in the springtime. And so we're just working on that, and it will be in partnership with all councils of the league and with all areas of the league. And so we're really excited to be able to partner with so many people and include so many voices in that work. In addition to that, we've been able to provide training opportunities both at the league-wide level. So we, our training council ladies recently hosted an anti-racism event. We have been able to speak at the committee level about microaggressions and about bias training and some other trainings like that through, again, league leaders asking us to come and connect with them. And then the land acknowledgement that we just got to hear Melanie share with us was created by our committee. And in addition, we are supporting the scope of this work at the board level. We are listening to the work that's happening in other councils, supporting. I have to say, I'm feeling the most excited to be a league member that I ever have, both from the AJLI work that is coming down and being passed out to members, which I'll touch on in just a minute, but additionally, the number of women that are in our league right now that are actively engaging in diversity, equity, and inclusion work, both within the league and in their own personal lives. The number of league leaders that have asked for training for their council members and committee members, the number of women that have sought out resources within the league and been a voice of this work in our league goes far beyond the 9 members of our committee. And so I'm really excited to be a part of our league right now because the opportunity to learn alongside all of you is just abundant right now. I'm really grateful for that. In addition to the work that we're doing, I wanted to share, oh, hold on. Just a couple of ways for you to be able to connect and be a part of this work. I see a couple of people popping up in the chat. AJLI has been hosting each month a 21-day racial equity challenge. It is 21 days of reading and conversation around a broad range of diversity, equity, and inclusion topics. We have had a huge number of board members go through that. In addition, we have had a huge number of members participate, and I have only heard great things from members. I participated in it in July, and my group has continued meeting after our 21 days together because we loved it so much. And we are committing to meet monthly still to continue to talk, and it has been incredible. It's been a great place to learn new things, to feel safe asking questions, and really meaty conversation that you may not get in other areas of life. So they are continuing to offer that. I will say it fills up really quickly. So when you see the email for AJLI, jump on it if you're interested because it does fill up quickly. They are offering it multiple times though. So if it doesn't fit, particularly with holidays and things like that, because it is a big time commitment, there will be other opportunities coming up for that. In addition, there's a Junior League Facebook page that I would recommend you engage with if you're interested. It's called the Junior League Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Exchange. It is a league-wide, so leagues from all over are on it, and it's been a really interesting place. People post articles and ask questions about it. we'll get questions from other leagues that will say, hey, we're working on this element of our strategic plan. What do you guys think about it? Other leagues are sharing work that they're doing. There's incredible work that other leagues are doing, hosting movie nights and discussion groups and book groups and things like that. So it's an incredible resource if you're interested to see kind of what is happening with diversity, equity, and inclusion outside of just our league. And then finally, a resource and an ask from all of you. We have just recently created on our JLD webpage a JLD DEI resource page where you can find some of the history of what our work has been in the league, who's on the committee currently, book recommendations, movie recommendations, all of those kind of things. And my ask for you is if you look at that and you have resources to add, email us at dei@jld.org. It is meant to be a communal resource where you all get to participate and add to that. And so we would love your input and recommendations. We recently got an email from a couple of members suggesting that we put a list of businesses that are owned by Black and Indigenous people of color. So people know some businesses that they could try to frequent and support, in addition to some of the movies and books and things like that. So we really are seeking your input. If you have anything to offer, we would love for you to let us know so we can add and grow with that. The final slide that I just wanted to share with you is a list of the women that I get to work alongside this year. This work is a huge passion area of mine, and it has only increased in passion because of the women I get to work alongside. They are leaders in this work. They are passionate about this work and they are passionate about the league. And so I am really grateful. Cassandra Costley is my step up chair this year. Alexis, Jacqueline, Jen, Jessica, Matisse, Stephanie, and Vanessa, many of whom are on the call tonight, also deserve big thanks because they are working hard. And since this is our first year as a committee, we're kind of stepping out into the unknown, and it has been such an absolute pleasure to work alongside them. So huge thank you to this group of women for stepping into this work, and for teaching me so much and letting me learn alongside of them. So with that being said, oh man, am I excited. We get to have a speaker tonight, and I selfishly got to spend some time with her planning before this talk happened, and I, in my short conversation, left so encouraged and so excited. I'm really excited for you all to get to hear from her and learn from her. And so it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker tonight. Terry is incredible. I am so excited for you to get to hear what she has in store for us and the amount of thought that she has put into this work. She is a leader in many arenas of her life, which is also really cool. In addition to her professional life, she is a philanthropist. She is a professional speaker. She has written a book. She's incredible. Her talents are numerous. And so we're so lucky to have her here with us tonight. She has spent 17 years in a career as a government relations executive for a large international nonprofit. And in addition to that work, she had a dream to create community shifting outcomes. And so her most distinguished accomplishments include the passage of key pieces of legislation, such as the Louisiana Smoke-Free Air Act. She achieved this game-changing career milestone at the promising age of 28. As one of Austin Business Journal's most influential women in Central Texas, Terry's committed to creating meaningful, groundbreaking systemic change. And it is going to be clear for you to see tonight her passion for civic engagement and the way that she is going to encourage us to participate with that. She is a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania with a master's of nonprofit leadership. She was the student commencement speaker. She won the Excellence in Social Impact Award. She continues to lead in any area that she touches, and I'm so excited for the work that we get to do with her tonight. And so without further ado, ladies, I am happy to introduce you all to Terry Broussard Williams. Terry, I'll let you take it away. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, Kelsey, and thank you to everyone that was instrumental in getting me here tonight, including Melanie, Naomi, and your former member, LaShonda Kennedy. So, like all of you, I've had a full day of work and brain thinking. So, I want to encourage you to grab your water or your wine. We turn water into wine, but also just to take a moment to relax. Probably been in that chair all day, ran to help the kids with schoolwork, get people some food, some grub, and get settled. But I want you to just take a moment, just a couple of seconds, just to like let it all go. Because we are going to dig deep tonight. We are going to think. But I also want to give you that space so that you can get fired up. Because this work is so very important. And having each and every one of you at the table is also important. It's what matters. So while you all do that, just seriously close your eyes, take a deep breath. I'm going to get my slides up. I'm going to take control of the screen. This is always a test for me. I am not well in with tech. Naomi can definitely second that. Things that I am not good at. So hopefully you can see my screen. It says screen sharing. That's a good sign. And you all have been doing some work. You watched a video called From Charity to Solidarity. Now, I couldn't quite call this presentation that because I would be stealing someone's copyrighted information, but the intent is still there. And so I'm calling this Find Your Fire, moving from self to community and leading with intention, because that's truly what that conversation is about. So oftentimes when we talk about DE&I, we talk about this big thing that we don't understand, right? For some people, it might be this ray of sunshine, a new day is coming. For others, it might just be this like heavy cloud because they don't really understand and they're afraid. And for others, it might just be like rain and thunder because they're that uncomfortable and they want to do good, but they're just super uncomfortable. So we're going to talk tonight about how you can move from really just being a person alone, trying to take that one big bite out of an elephant, to being part of a larger community, but also using the Junior League of Denver to be a leader that's turning this moment into a movement. So you already got the details on me. There is far more than you ever want to know at terrybwilliams.com. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight, I want to tell you a couple of things. I have committed to giving away two of my books, which is called Find Your Fire. I have one right here. And I committed to giving away two copies of those books. You can do it a couple of ways. You can either post on LinkedIn, Twitter, or on Instagram, post something that you've learned or something that you want to share with others. And when we get into the presentation, I'm going to tell you why. It's easy to assume that I want to gain new followers. That is not the case. It's going to be a way for you to practice what we're preaching tonight. So get ready to walk it like you talk it. Let's go. So I'm going to show you a picture of four people that I love dearly. These are my grandparents. On the left, you see my mother's mother and father. On the right are my dad's mother and father. Now, my grandmother with the roses is my only living relative. She's 93, or grandparent. She's 93 and is what I call a fire starter. She's someone that sees things that others ignore but takes action. So every year from the time she could vote and serve as a poll watcher, she did. Now, she couldn't this past November and March, which is primary season, because of COVID. But from, her mid 40s to her 90s, she was a poll watcher in Lafayette, Louisiana, making sure that everyone had access to voting. My grandfather next to her passed away on Easter Sunday, not because of COVID, but he passed away during, literally, it was the highest point of COVID in Louisiana. And so we're Catholic. So we say, he got the highest honor in Catholicism. He passed on Easter Sunday. And my two other grandparents passed away when I was very young, but they were also community leaders. All four of them were very engaged in church. None of them had higher than a middle school education, yet they were church builders. people that turned a moment into a movement. You see, my grandparents on the left, especially them, they were in Lafayette, Louisiana. They lived in a neighborhood called Truman Elementary. They had a car. They didn't use it often because gas was so expensive. But they saw so many families walking to church every Sunday, like 4, 5, or 6 miles, because they didn't have transportation. They would do this in the cold, in the rain, and even in hurricane season, because in Louisiana, we go to church right before a hurricane because you don't know when you're going to get to go again. But they knew that everyone deserved access to a church that was close to them and in an equitable fashion. They were leaders that turned the moment into a movement. On the left, you'll see a red building. It's Our Lady Queen of Peace Catholic Church, the building and the church that they raised in the 70s. About 10 years ago, that church burned down. And it was very sad for everyone in the community, including myself. It was a month right after I got engaged. And so I wanted to get married in the same church as my parents, the same church where I was baptized, had my first communion. The church burned down. And so my parents, in watching, their families be church leaders, they raised their hands and they said, if not us, then who? They became the next generation of church builders. My father oversaw the capital campaign, serving as, the chief budget officer, the chief fundraiser, the person that ordered the bricks and mortar, all the things. My mom kept all the things in the office organized. She held training. She, made sure that everything was running for while they had church in a gym. And you'll see the church on the right that was built. It was done again from a place that a term that we're starting to use more frequently, idea, inclusive, equity, diverse, and access for all. The idea of this building was so big, yet it was so small because everyone got involved. My father would often say the dollars for the church was right there in the church. It was just in the pockets of the people in the church. And so many people pitched in. The people of Truman Elementary and Truman, the neighborhood, they were not really rich, but a lot of the money for that capital campaign came from people that did not look like them. The donors were white. They were people that believed in the moment, believed in the community, and actually eventually went to church there. And it was something that my father was always proud of. And so 3 months after those doors opened, we actually buried him there. And so I was again reminded of how you can be one person, that one individual that can lead with intent and grow something for a community to be a part of. That legacy that he left behind is for people that he never knew, right? They're for people that walked through the doors of that church after he passed away. And so that's why we do the work that we do. That is why each of us are members of the Junior League. This is a picture of me. It was mentioned that I was a lobbyist. I've been lobbying for almost 2 decades. One particular September, I was lobbying in Washington, D.C., and it just sounds like the most fabulous thing, right? Was at a congressional reception, there was bar, there was food. I was actually on a diet, so I wasn't having either. We know how that goes. I was talking to a former Dallas City Council member, someone from the White House, and an R&B superstar, like moment to pop the collar, And I see this guy moving in the background, and I remember telling my friends, we need to move. Something weird is going on. And I could hear someone say that he lost his cell phone. So then the next thing I see is someone picking up a couch and this guy looking under the sofa. And when it falls down, that fell down on my head. Yeah, sofa on my head. For him, the fate and the idea that he lost his cell phone in 2019 was worse than the kiss of death. But what that meant for me was that I was out of commission. I've been driving a car so fast for so long. We all do it. We get in the car, we turn on the GPS, and we just go. And we know where we need to end, but you couldn't even be reminded of what you drove past. And that's what my life was like. I was in graduate school, I was writing a book, I was a board member, a wife, a lobbyist, a friend, a sister, a community leader, everything to everyone, yet nothing to myself. So it wasn't until that couch came on my head that I got to rest. I understood what it was to give grace to myself. I understood what it was just to have a moment to think. And so I say, I now look for iron benches because they're far more sturdy than any sofa we might have. But it's also a reminder of truly planting my feet and being rooted in what I want to do from a very conscious place. And so until each of us do that with intention and with a full heart and good work ethic, we will not be able to really embrace these moments of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We will continue to drive really fast and know that we're passing something and getting to a destination, but not really know where we are in that case. So I want to share this quote with you. It's give light and people will find a way. And that's what you will do every time you become that leader that's going to turn a moment into a movement. And so many times you hear these talks that, make you laugh, that make you think, but they never put you to work. So tonight we're actually going to do some work that is going to allow you to find the light within yourself, but also bring it to your community and help others find a way. And that is how you're going to move from this concept of charity to solidarity in Denver. So I want to talk to you a little bit about nonprofit boards, because I think that will allow you to see some hard numbers and concepts that you know and understand, and for you to see how you truly can not only have an impact in Denver, but also have an impact in transforming the sector. The Junior League is not just a community organization, it's a nonprofit, but most important, it's a nonprofit where each of you get the opportunity to serve in leadership or sit on a nonprofit board. So let's take a look at what's under the hood so you can truly see again how you can be this individual that's bringing something to your community, but can also transform the sector. So 84%, that is the number of board members that identify as white out of all of the boards in the country. That stat comes from an organization called Board Source, and it comes from their report of 2017 called Leading with Intent. So you can dig deeper into Board Source's report really to learn more about that. But 84% of nonprofit board members identify as white. The next one, 27%. That's the number of boards that have 0 people of color on them. So how can we truly be reflective of our community if 0% of the boards that serve the community don't have anyone of color? Think about that. It's pretty insane. And I'm going to take a swig of water. I actually have the world's worst migraine, but I was so excited to be here that I promised myself I would crash after this, but water will help. So this next one is even more staggering, but it's the one that if you're taking notes that I want to make sure you're writing down, because this is something that you can truly have an impact on in Denver. And that's 60%. 60% of nonprofit boards serve people of color. And so if you are sitting on a board right now, or even a community volunteer, you probably fall in this metric. So just remember that when you show up, when you're making programmatic decisions, or when you're thinking about where even to hold a fundraiser. You can choose to hold that fundraiser within the community that you're serving and not in the fanciest building in Denver. You can choose to be reflective of the organization that you're serving and the people that you're serving by hiring a vendor or a contractor that is of their community instead of someone that you just know that you just already have a W-9 and a voucher for, right? Which is something that Kelsey mentioned, those people of color that are in business in your community. You can truly have an impact on that. And so these are just ways that you can become a leader that will turn a moment into a movement. But as I mentioned, we're going to get to work so that you can create a plan where you can either see yourself as a member of the Junior League of Denver or a member of the community and allow yourself the way to find that light and to give it to others. Let's go back to Washington, D.C. I actually still love DC, even though that sofa came down on my head there. And I love it for these reasons. The first picture is August 1963, picture of Martin Luther King Jr. This is where he gave his I Have a Dream speech. Now, if you recall, they were fighting for equity in the workplace, something we still fight for today. But look at the crowd. They are people of all sizes, of all colors, and all ages. They believed in having a dream. They too shared that dream with MLK, and they showed up to show that they were an individual that probably were taking part in charity somehow, but were standing there in solidarity with him. To the right, these are student leaders. They were standing together in solidarity because they were mourning their friends who were not there, their friends who would not graduate with them. These are the students who founded March for Our Lives, one class that now started a catalyst for change with more than 300 chapters across the world. So you see, you can be that one leader that can really start a movement. Now I'm going to show you the fire starter formula, which is a way that you can do it. It's very simple. I love to do it for starting movements. I love to do it for professional development, for goal setting. Once you get these concepts, you will be able to do it for so much. Now, you should have a worksheet that looks a little like this. Yay, thank you. I see those worksheets. I want you to take notes on that. I'm going to walk through these 4 concepts: cost, collective, communicate, and change. So I'm going to give you the quick and dirty of them. Definitely write down some notes about what they are, but also write down some of the first things that come to your mind. You will use them to create your own personal agenda and action-oriented list. So let's go. I'm excited for you guys. Cause. This is where you're really going to hone in on that why. And it's so important that you, as a league leader, and I'm saying that all of you are leaders, right? You're not just a league member, but you're all a leader because you're going to turn this moment into a movement. And so I want you to write down why you joined the league. A lot of times we get off base. Our moral compass, our North Star, our guardrails, they go a little off. But when we can remember our why, it reminds us of the work that we need to do. But also when we lean into our why, it allows us to communicate externally about the mission of the league, the mission of its members, the mission of the organizations that they serve. So that's what cause is about. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to jot something down there. All right, I want to be mindful of the time. So let's move on to collective. Now, collective is definitely a group of people, right? But I want to go a little deeper into what you might think the obvious would be. So for you, your collective, consider them some small hives. Your membership is definitely a part of the collective. Your stakeholders, the people that you're doing the work, the beneficiaries, your donors, all these people are part of the collective, the larger Denver community. So you want to think about the collective that you're using. From a personal perspective, it might be the people that will help you do the work, the people that will hold you accountable. From an organization, it might be the people that you want to see that you're doing the work differently, the people that you can learn from, the people that will be cultural ambassadors and share in this work with you. That collective is so important. Again, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to be a reflection of what you want to be as you look into the future. You also want that collective to be at a table that's very long and very wide. They are going to be a diverse body on their own. So think geography, think age, think gender, think profession, think like economics. You really truly want to think about all the things because you want that collective to really be people that can hold you up while they hold you accountable. So jot down some of the people that you know, will be a part of your dream team. or people that you can't imagine doing the work without. Those are all going to be a part of your collective. I see you all thinking so hard, and I love it. All right. Other thing, I will take questions at the end, so feel free to put them in the chat as we go along the way or hold them to the end. Whatever you like, you can do. We're going to move on to communicate. Now, communicate is very important. You're going to communicate the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, this is not one thing that we do well as league leaders, right? We only want to communicate the pretty. But we can't do that anymore. We really want to communicate everything that we're doing because it shows that we are authentic and we're sincere in the work. So if you're struggling to figure this out right now, the more you talk about that struggle, the more you will find people that are like-minded or people that want to help you. You know, you can't overcome a hurdle alone because people might not even know that there's a hurdle in front of you or them, but you also want to communicate this externally. So this is why I said I'd love to see you practice. Tweet, post on LinkedIn, post on Instagram, post what you are learning. That lets the larger community in Denver see that you just didn't sign a pledge. You just didn't have a speaker come in for a hot minute to make you laugh. That you as a leader are doing the work that it takes to transform yourself and transform the community. And this will also allow the community to see that you're standing in solidarity with them. Because if you as a leader and you as a league were not investing in this seriously, you wouldn't even take time to post about it, right? So the more that you dig into this, don't be shy about it. Definitely talk about it. You know, one example of a great post I've seen recently is a friend who went to a part of town in Austin that she hadn't before. And so she said, you know, I don't really go to East Austin. I live in my bubble. But as part of what I'm doing, I am taking field trips within my city. And so this is where I am today. And while I'm here, I want to show you this incredible park and this incredible library stop. And so she posted pictures of her kids at these stops, and it started a conversation. And then other people said that they were going to take their family. And so when I often say that we can be cultural ambassadors, that is what I mean by that. And not only you can be a cultural ambassador for something else in Denver, but those that are on your advisory board, those that are part of your collective, can be a cultural ambassador for you as a league and as a leader. So if you really share in those obstacles and that journey, then they can share with others that you are serious about the work. And that will again help people change their perception of how you do the work and how you're showing up and what it means to be a member of the Denver League. So I want you to write down just one thing you would want a cultural ambassador to share with others. And it could also be something that you yourself might share with your friends. Okay, so we're gonna move to the hardest part of it, change. This is where you're gonna get your hands dirty and you're gonna really do the work. The change is the movement. It's the work that you're in right now. You know, you have done all the things that were on all the slides earlier. You are really part of a larger movement within your league. And so whenever you're a part of change in this process, you really want to build in some outcome measures. You want to understand that big goal that will go across the organization and what you can drive. And that way you can all see it, right? They're all things that you can talk about at the committee level, the council level, and the board level. And so once we get into some of the work, we're about to work on the other side of the worksheet, I'll give you some examples of what you can do in the league to be transformative. So I want you here to just write one thing that you hope that you will get out as a member of the league, as well as what you understand the Junior League of Denver's mission to be when it comes to the practice of DE&I. And if you have those slides from earlier, they might be a little cheat sheet for you. Okay, so we're gonna really get our hands dirty. We're gonna flip it to the other side of the worksheet and work on a plan. And so again, like I want you to really print this out and keep a blank copy because you can use this formula and this model for anything. I literally used it to lose weight as well as to get started writing my book. It's just this framework that will help you think and ideate. And so much of it is, just blank shapes. So that way you're just forced to see things differently. If you notice, nothing's really a box, not even this. There's an open end to all sides. So I want you to get out of boxes. I say all the time, let's stop checking boxes and let's check our soul. Let's really check what's in our heart and our mind so that we can connect them and come together. A lot of times when we have missteps in DE and I work, it's because we weren't talking with our head and our heart. And we were too afraid to try something and fail that we didn't even try at all. So this action plan is going to help you stay away from that. Now, if you don't have a plan, you just start by drawing a circle. Definitely easier if you have a worksheet. And so that first opportunity that we're going to dig into, it's called will. Now, I'm going to reference the other side of the worksheet because I truly want you to understand how these movements will be built. So will is what you will for your organization. What is that big aim, the big goal that the Junior League of Denver wants to move when it comes to DE&I? You'll also think of it from a place that's personal to you. What do you wish that you can do? How could you take action? And this should be rooted in your cause. Why you're a member of the league, why you believe in the movement of DE&I, why you believe you can go from being an individual to that solidarity spot, that place where you can really help the community. And when you think about it, I want you to want you to think really big and think of what is possible. Now, what I don't want you to do is get stuck in just brainstorming and just thinking. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. But take literally 30 seconds to write down something that you will, either as an individual leader or as a member of the league. And you'll want to stick to the same concept throughout the whole activity, but you can pick either right now, what feels right for you. I should say, even if you're writing from a place of thinking about the whole league, you're still one person that can serve as a catalyst. So you still are being that individual that can help move the needle within the community. The next step is going to be tied again to the collective. Remember, we talked about the table that's really long and wide, the people that can help by being cultural ambassadors, holding you accountable, and teaching you new things. They are going to help you drive the outcomes. They're going to help you make everything that you do tangible because they're going to give you the connections to organizations. They're going to give you feedback on what you're doing when you're out in the community. They're your beneficiaries, your donors. And I also want you, when you think about that collective and how you will drive outcomes with them or outcomes for them, if you're thinking about your beneficiaries, make it real. Really list something that you can do as a leader that will take shape and that will come to life. Now here, I really focus on those outcomes and making them tangible. Earlier I said, if sometimes we can get stuck in just brainstorming and thinking. It's like when you go to a movie, you go to a movie and you watch like Avatar and you get so caught up in the beauty of the cinematography and the colors and the costumes, and you go on this chase where they're like, flying, and you feel all of that. And your emotions just take over, your brain takes over, and you feel satisfied just from watching a movie. So if you get too caught up in brainstorming and ideating, and this is real science, like you can look it up, you will never move from idea to implementation. your brain will be satisfied with just brainstorming. Now, how many times have you been at a table and everyone brainstorms and then that list never takes shape? Like it just stays. And that's because we got too wedded, too married to the idea of just the ideas. So again, think of the outcomes, make it tangible, make it real, and associate it with the people at the table, the collective. And this will allow you to take shape for you to think about how you will make it real and begin to do the work. Now, the next part is tied to communicating. Now, you remember earlier I said, we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so when we communicate, we really want to think about obstacles. If we can think about obstacles and communicate them, even internally, within the league and externally within the community, people will find a way to help us. And also, a lot of times when we think about obstacles and we talk about them, we get to a place of generative ideas. We get to a place of innovation. We get to a place where we really can problem solve at times and not even have the obstacles hit. We've avoided them. But I also want you to think of the dream killers. These are the things that will stop a project because you did not think of a cultural aspect, or maybe you didn't think of a holiday. Another dream killer would be if a member or someone unintentionally, of course, did something that would not allow the community to see the league as an authentic voice in this space. You want to think about all of those and you want to communicate them with each other. So you might be communicating a little bit about fears, but you might also communicate hope. You really want to communicate your intentions and what you are trying to do. Again, sharing that message externally because people are going to start to show up. They're going to support you. And you also have to think about the deal breakers. The deal breakers aren't so much tied to the collective as they are tied to your membership. Deal breakers is anything that might cause a member to walk away. I can't tell you how many times I've heard of members who their feelings have been hurt or they feel like they've been treated wrongly and they just walked away. And so if we can think about these things then and communicate them, then we can overcome them. So I want to give you just some time to jot down some things that you'd want to communicate. And so an individual communication tactic might be like talking to a member of the Junior League who is a member of color. And again, not taxing them because we've all talked a lot about not making that one person feel like they have to carry the weight of every single person of color, but just asking them a little bit about what their experience has been like so that you can learn and question from a place of curiosity. Sometimes when people hear a bit of judgment or even a bit of uncertainty when asked, they kind of shut down and they don't share. But when you ask with curiosity, people tend to open up. A way that you might choose to communicate an obstacle within the league if you're moving on a project is, if you are going to a new part of town and you just don't know a lot about customs or, how people show up or what to dress, just by asking someone that's a trusted source within that community and telling them, we truly want to do this work well, we are going to get some things wrong. And so I'm going to lean on you to tell us when we do some things wrong. And I'm going to lean on you to give us cues for some of the things that we need to do. And so that way, you again are questioning with curiosity, but showing a willingness to learn, and people will open up to you and you will avoid those dream killers. And for some of your members, you probably will avoid some deal breakers. So we are going to begin to write our personal plans. So I'm going to take you through it a little bit and talk about some ways that you could lay out this plan as a league leader. Now, there are 4 lines here. There are a couple of ways that you can address the lines. I would recommend that you use the 4 lines to write out 4 things that you will do to take action as an individual. And again, as you do it, think about who is a part of that collective that can hold you accountable, who you can talk to about your obstacles that you might need to communicate and have two-way dialogue. Think about how you might show up and what are the opportunities that you have in front of you and the things that you want to will. And also, I want you to think about, you know, something that you could report out and be proud of by the end of the junior league year. Or you can use those 4 buckets to lines as buckets to think about the 4 buckets that you want to take action in, and that might be membership, that might be community, that might be other organizations doing the work that you want to learn from. That might be new programming. Those are examples. Now, if you think about those 4 buckets, you're going to have to commit to yourself to really take action because you might just be brainstorming and having ideas, and we want you to start implementing. But for some of you that are organizational leaders within the league, like you have a council, this might be a way for you to help you organize your thoughts. But the purpose of breaking it down into 4 lines or 4 buckets is going back to that science of, you could just stick in, idea mode. So we're going to implement a couple of things. We're going to write out the things that we can implement. And again, the science says something that is so important to us. It says if you begin to take action and you begin to see these stair steps that you can take, then you're more likely to stick with it. And so I want to walk you through what something might look like to give you time to write your own 4 either steps or 4 buckets. So if you are an individual in the league, you might say that you want to learn more about a community project that the Junior League of Denver has. So the opportunity for you, which is tied to communicating, I'm sorry, it's collective. When we have a collective at the table, it is a new opportunity. So you would get to visit that new organization or that new part of town and get to learn from them. So that might be the opportunity for you. And that might lead you having a new placement. The obstacle that you might have is that you don't understand all of that nonprofit or that community organizations, their mission and how you might be able to help. And so when you communicate that, people will open the door for you and they will allow you to see under the hood or become a part of that volunteer army. And then the 4 steps would be tied to the ways that you can help them. Or you might already have an organization in mind. So you would do the same steps and write out the 4 steps that you can really take action. Now, if you are a committee leader, let's use the PR committee. So your big will or your big cause might be that you want to bring more cultural ambassadors to the PR committee. You want to have more people that are reflective of Denver, that are part of, your speakers bureau. So the opportunity would be to look at that collective and see who's at the table. A lot of times as league members, we might only allow the president to be our spokesperson on TV or in the paper. We might only allow the holiday market chair to speak. But that's not reflective of our community, right? If we go back to the fact that 86% of nonprofit board leaders are white, and actually it's the same stat, 86% of junior league members are white across all of AJLI, we're only putting white women on TV. What is that going to do as you look to recruit new members or look for people within the community to trust you and trust that you are doing work to be more diverse and inclusive? It's not gonna, not gonna show the work that you're doing. And so again, that's why I say we want to communicate some of the work that we're doing externally. So if you build that table really long and wide and have, some cultural ambassadors, you might bring someone from your advisory board and train them to speak on an event. You might bring a principal of a school where you deliver backpacks with lunches to say, what is it that you're doing? Or if you're looking to recruit members, you might put a diverse member of color who's a provisional, on a morning talk show to talk about what new member recruitment looks like. And so that's one way as a PR chair that you can help with the opportunity. Now, the obstacle might be that we haven't done this before, right? So we have to build goodwill internally and give our members the tools that they need to be confident and show up in those spaces, or give the members of the advisory board the tools that they need to share out the work that you're doing. Now, if you're at a council level, you will want to support the work of those women. So if they come to you, and they say their will is that their why is that we want to put out 2 press releases this year. We want to do one in English and one in Spanish and give it to Spanish newsletters and newspapers. So then the opportunity that you might have as a council leader would be, to make sure they have the budget dollars to do that. Make sure that if there is a W-9 that needs to be had or an invoice that needs to be cut, that obstacle is removed because they have communicated that with you. And then, for the purpose part, you'll write out how you could disseminate those press releases or what the press might look like. Now, if you're at the board and you're again using the PR example to get through the process, you will just be creating a path to allow women to work and to get their hands dirty and to create the change that you want to see. Oftentimes as a board, we want to be the puppet master. We want to check all the boxes and make sure that, things are getting done. You can't really do that when it comes to DE and I work. This has to be truly organic. Now you'll want to have some benchmarks, right? You'll want to understand the aims and the drivers, but women will really need to be themselves, not feel judged, and try and fail a little. And so things will not be perfect. So guardrails will be really important as you think about the will that they might have, the opportunities and the obstacles, but just let people work and you'll see change. So those are just some examples as you write out your plan of how you can do that. So I'm going to do a time check. We're getting near our time. I want to leave some time for questions. Um, but so I will let you do more of the fleshing out of that on your own, but that is what it would look like. And so as I say, whoop, there it is. You have walked through the will, the opportunity, the obstacle, and your plan. The 4 steps that are needed within the fire starter formula to truly go from an individual to helping your community that you serve. Now, this is the nuts and bolts, the things that you really want to pay attention to. This is how it's all going to, the dots are connected. This is how it's going to make sense for you as your league. So again, the cause is tied to the will, that big thing that you're going to wish. Now, when you are recruiting new members, because everything that we do is really to build that legacy for those that we know and those that we might not know, this is going to help you recruit. Women are going to see your why in action. They're going to see it, hear it, and touch it. Now, for how it shows up in the community, it's really going to rouse them. They're going to start to ask questions about, what is happening within the Denver League. They're showing up really new. They're showing up, from a place with a different perspective, and they are going to be so curious. They are going to be roused, and they're going to like that. When it comes to collective, again, that's how we build opportunity. That is going to allow you to retain your members, because your members are going to see the many different ways that they can plug in, the many different ways that you are trying to truly be a part of this community change. Now, externally within the Denver community, that is going to breed new relationships. And for the relationships that might be shaky, although I'm sure there isn't much with you guys are very solid, and might make relationships more solid, to use that word again. People might return to the table if they've had, a bad taste in their mouth. So remember to use your opportunities to retain members and to work on fostering relationships. Communication is something that I also love, because that is going to allow you to overcome obstacles. It's really going to allow you to, get the community to be part of what you're doing. It's also going to allow you to retain your members. It's so easy for us to think that obstacles, turn people off, especially members. Again, it might energize members because they will be able to respond to voids. They might be able to show up and do work from a place of their professional expertise or a place where they wanted to learn. And for the community, it's also going to allow them to respond. And it's going to allow them to see that you're responding as well. It's a very much a two-way street when it comes to responding. So truly use obstacles in your communication to really, really get people involved. People love when you ask them for help. Change, that is where you're going to return to your why. We start with why, we return to our why. Our why is going to help you retain your members. You know, when people are tired in March and April, because if we get tired in March and April, when you return to your why, that's where you're going to retain your members. They're going to remember why they're there. And they're going to remember that they're important to the larger mission. It's also going to help the community see that you are realizing the goals that you set out and the dreams that you have for your league. It's also going to allow them to realize truly the outcome measures that you're working on together. And so there are 4 things that I think that you should pack. I love 4 and I love alliteration, but there are 4 things that I think you should pack as you do this work. First and foremost, it's faith. Now, I talked a whole lot about churches, but faith isn't about religion in this case. Faith is knowing that you are part of something bigger. Again, it's remembering that you are an individual that's being part of a community and you're standing in solidarity with everyone in that community. Just a reminder that, the legacy you leave for those people that you know, but they're truly for people that you'll never meet and never know. Fortitude. There's always a way. There's always a way. When you lean into obstacles and communicate, when you lean into all those that are around you, you will figure out that way. And when you believe that you can figure it out and you are the leader for this moment, again, there will be a way. I truly believe that every single person that is in a seat right now, we are in that seat for a reason. I've seen too many times that leaders have stepped up during COVID, during racial tension, with the right solution that never knew they could even do it before. That I truly believe we're all right where we need to be to turn these moments into a movement. Now, the last 2 are truly for all of us as league leaders, but also for all of us as women. We should have fail fests. We should celebrate failing and we should use it to fail forward. A lot of times we just focus on perfection. When we focus on perfection, we miss so many things that are around us, including that something I mentioned earlier, that thing where we can just find the thing within us. And so when we truly fail, but do it quickly and do it to really lean into brainstorming around a place that is generative and a place that is innovative, usually we come up with a better solution, a solution that is more diverse and more inclusive. And last, we have to remember forgiveness. You're not going to get all this work right. But most importantly, just forgiveness as league leaders. We're all human. So, when you feel like you have to send that last email at 9 o'clock, give yourself grace. You might not be able to write the most thoughtful email after a long day of work and doing your second job, the league work. So wait till the next day. That might avoid you from saying something that you would regret, but also it's going to allow you to rest. You don't want to be in that car driving every which way. You want to be thoughtful and mindful. You want to see the stops outside the window as you drive. So I want to encourage you all to pick up Find Your Fire. I go into more detail about the fire starter formula and all the ways that you can be a leader that turns a moment into a movement. And I'm actually updating it in a couple of weeks to include some stories about COVID and the way that leaders have just led during this time, as well as some stories from the election cycle. So I actually haven't shared that with anyone out loud. So y'all are the first people to hear that. And I want to encourage you to stay in touch. This is all things. Terry B. Williams is how you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. On LinkedIn, it's Terry R. Broussard, but you can still find me by Terry B. Williams. My website is Terry B. Williams. It'll take you to the platform called Movement Maker. There are a lot of blog articles there about how you can lead. I have wrote some very personal articles about being a diverse member in the junior league, from feeling alone, even when I was on the AJLI board, to having league members apologize for the way that they treated me and how that gave me freedom and how it's just allowed me to find my fire and to double down on the work that we do as leaders. And again, tweet, post something on Instagram or LinkedIn for your chance to win a couple of books. So I'm going to end the screen share there and look at the questions that you have. And Kelsey, I want to give you an opportunity just to jump in with any reaction while I check all of these things. Y'all are hilarious. Part of the reason why my voice is so soothing tonight, usually I'm super amped up, is this migraine that I'm nursing. But I'm excited to be here with you all. I will make sure that you have the worksheet if you don't. And um, yeah, okay. It looks like that was it. What questions do you have? Feel free to take yourself off mute. I'm happy to answer any questions about what we just talked about what it's like being a member of color, about what it's like doing this work in the community, what's it like being on the AJLI board, anything that you have. I think we have just a minute or two, but I am here to answer questions.
Oh, perfect. And somebody just posted that we'll send out a follow-up email to make sure that everybody has that worksheet. So we'll make sure you all get that. That was such a great presentation, Terry. You had so many great ideas. I was writing furiously, so.
Well, and I'll drop in my email address. Feel free to email any questions or anything that you'd like to tribe@terrybwilliams.com. You put in the subject line, Junior League of Denver. I promise I will email you back. It might take a day or two, but I promise I will email each of you back.
Perfect. And if anybody comes up with any questions later in the night, we'll keep the chat open, of course, and so we can pass those along to Terry if something comes up as we are listening to other speakers tonight. So let's all give Terry much love, sending good healing vibes your way for that migraine to go away quickly.
And you guys don't remember, you do not need to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Just give yourself that grace that you need, and you will all find a way. Thank you. tribe@terrybwilliams.com will answer your questions.
Thanks, Terry. And with that, we are going to pass it back to Melanie.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you, Terry. This was amazing. My worksheet is very full. I've got lots of notes, quotes, all the things. So appreciative of your time. And Kelsey and the DEI committee, thanks for organizing this as well. Love it. Yes, hashtag all the things. Also, I wrote a hashtag on my sheet, hashtag failfest. We're all gonna fail fast, learn fast, and move forward. Awesome. Thanks, everybody, for your participation during that. I am excited now to turn it over to some representatives. I realized earlier I said membership committee. I meant to say membership council. Our folks from the membership council who are going to update us on some exciting work that is happening there. And I think Jody is going to share the slides, and Claire and team are going to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Melanie. I am unable to see the screen, so I am very hopeful that it's showing everything that I hope that it's showing.
We're not quite there yet.
Oh no!
I'll tell you the slides aren't there yet, but we're getting them up. So I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'll let you know when they're up. There we go. All right, we are up and on the title slide.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right, so the presentation today is the 411 on the placement matching tool. That may be a little bit of a foreign concept to the league membership at large. So hopefully by the end of today's presentation, we will have demystified a little bit more about the placement matching tool, which broadly speaking, and we'll discover this over the course of this presentation, it is an AJLI sponsored initiative that is designed to make, to demystify the placement process for league members. So my name is Ann Fritchie. I'm a membership coordinator co-chair along with Claire Juneau, and we've been working hard throughout the summer, and I cannot believe it's halfway through November, so I guess most of the way through the fall, on this placement matching tool and a number of other membership initiatives. So we're excited to share with everyone here today an overview of the rollout of that placement matching tool specifically. Next slide, please.
All right, can everybody hear me okay? Okay, cool. That doesn't always happen. Well, before we dive into the placement matching tool specifically, we do want to give you all some fall lottery reminders. So first of all, fall lottery is open if you didn't know. It closes on Friday, the 20th. So just coming up this Friday. The committees that are available include Holiday Mart with multiple committees, Loves, and Recruitment. And with these particular committees, they are part of fall recruitment because their work will begin as soon as we roll over to 2021. So just in January of this upcoming year, and they will end in December of 2021. So the only reason they're included in fall lottery is because their timeline is a little bit shifted. As we all know, Holiday Mart's typically in November, Loves is typically in September, and recruitment is very heavy throughout the late spring and summer before our application period opens in July. So because those deliverables happen in the summer and fall, we want to make sure we have ample time for those groups to prepare. If you are curious and want more information, including the committee timelines and the different specific jobs you would have if you were on that committee, we highly recommend that you review our fall placement brochure, which you can find once you log into the member section on Digital Cheetah. If you select the resources tab at the top, select forms from the drop-down menu, you can find the new fall lottery brochure in the membership section. Another new thing we've added this year, the unique thing about fall lottery is that leadership positions as well as regular committee positions are placed at the same time. So if you are choosing to select a leadership position, we do want to point out that there is a leadership form to complete. When you're ready to participate in fall lottery, in the news and reminders section, there is a link to start the process. And that leadership form is linked on that very first page and on the last page, just in case you missed it. Lastly, for all our members, if you are a holdover, and which means that you want to stay in your current position for the following year, you must complete the registration process, even if it is just selecting the position you're in and putting holdover in the comment box. We need to know that you're interested so that we can place you appropriately in Digital Cheetah. I also want to note before we move on that typically there is a 1/3 committee holdover policy. This has been by a board vote waived due to COVID. We know that committee experiences have been very affected by COVID. Things have not necessarily operated as normal. So we do want to give the opportunity for committee members to participate in their placement next year if they would like to. Not required at all, but an option for you. Next slide.
Yes, so I couldn't pass by this opportunity to speak to the General League membership without kind of plugging a little bit what the Membership Coordinators Committee is and what we do. So what we do generally is provide support for all Junior League of Denver placements. We accomplish that through the membership registration. So like Claire mentioned, we help to run things like the fall lottery. And then in the spring, we'll also run the spring lottery and leadership registration. That requires a lot of back-end Digital Cheetah magic, as well as preparing things like the brochures that if you have been interested in fall lottery, hopefully you've seen the new and revamped fall brochures. They're beautiful, if I do say so myself, as well as acting as liaisons to council VPs and VPEs and working throughout the league to provide member support, not just to those leadership positions, but really to the membership at large. Our team is also working on special projects this year specifically, unlike in many other years, on AGLI initiatives, including the placement matching tool, which we'll be discussing here today. And a quick plug for anyone interested in this committee looking forward to the spring lottery. What kind of members work best in this committee? The answer is truly all kinds. This is my second year on this specific committee, and it's particularly perfect for someone who travels a lot for work, as most of this work can be done remotely through access to a computer. So the transition during this league year has been a little bit easier for our committee than for most. Next slide, please. All right, thank you. And just briefly, so you know who you're talking to, the membership coordinators team this year is run by myself, Ann Fritchie, and my wonderful co-chair, Claire Juneau. We have 3 different teams supporting us this year. We have the brochure team, which is Kat, Laura, Mackenzie, and this is kind of a new program this year. The transfer committee has so graciously offered to introduce some of the women on the transfer committee who are interested in helping with other league placements. So we also have Hannah Murrow, who's been helping us on the brochure team. We also have on the lottery team, Jessica, Melissa, and Uni. And finally, the brave souls who are trying to figure out the placement matching tool rather. We have Abby and Hillary who've been working diligently on AJLI and committing themselves to learn a completely new technology that is even more confusing than Digital Cheetah. Next slide, please.
All right, so when it comes to the placement matching tool, the first thing you might be wondering is, what is it? And really, it is a software platform that AJLI, Association of Junior League International, is rolling out with different leagues across the country and internationally to help make the placement process a little bit more streamlined. And the nice thing about it is it starts by taking members' input on their specific goals that they have or they want to achieve and their availability, what they're able to give for that next year. And it provides you with league placements that will work for you, rather than assuming that you will look at all of the league placements and figure out the best fit. It kind of helps you navigate that from you as the starting point. It is a 6-step process, and it starts with an annual commitment, which is similar to our placement agreement every year. So it will walk you through all of those expectations. Then it allows you to self-identify those skills and competencies, which I do want to note here. It doesn't have to be the skills and competencies that you think you already have. It can be something you want to achieve. So there is actually a scale once you select a specific skill and competency where you rank yourself on that scale. So you can say, if you're an event planner and you work for, a company that plans events, you might be on the higher end of that scale with a lot of experience. But if maybe you just threw a birthday party for your child or your sister and you really enjoy it and you want to learn more about it, you might be at the beginner level of event planning, but it's still something that you want to pursue. So it doesn't have to be skills and competencies you think you've mastered yet, which I think is a really great focus of the new tool. And then you're able to, so the tool will give you different options and you are able to rank them based on what you want your junior league experience to look like for the next year. Next slide.
So why are we doing this placement matching tool? It's an AJLI initiative, like I mentioned before. So this is something that's been implemented in leagues throughout the country, and the Junior League of Denver happens to be in the 3rd wave of leagues that are going to be testing out and using this placement matching tool. As Claire alluded to earlier, the idea is to create a more member-centric experience. So gone are the days when members were primarily filling partnership commitments and we're just placing them in those. The league is now focused on providing each of our members with productive development experiences that result in new tangible skills. So to use Claire's example, if you want to work on refining your event planning skills, the league will allow, or the placement matching tool rather, will allow you to find placements that are designed to help you enhance your event planning skills. This offers our league the operational structure it needs to deliver on that promise of a member-centric experience and to enhance our mission of developing civic leaders with the skills and competencies they need to actually improve our community at large. As Claire mentioned, it also streamlines the placement process and enables the Denver League to place you intentionally and meaningfully in a placement that really matches something that you can be truly passionate about. Next slide, please.
So to drive it home for you here, we are taking your decision on what your commitment is. We're having you choose your different skills and competencies, and then you're selecting from a variety of options. And the main overarching goal of this is that you're designing your own league experience. And I do want to point out the great piece of this is that your commitment may change. There may be one year where you are ready to chair a group and you feel like this is the best fit for you and where you can make a big impact. But you may have a major professional or personal life change coming the next year, and you may know that's a year I'm going to participate in what I can, but maybe chairing that group is not the best fit for me. So you will be able to decide your commitment year by year, which may change, which I think is just a testament to how we're even more accepting and open to every league member that wants to participate, whether you are participating in a few volunteer experiences or you have something on your calendar every week. It still brings value to the league. Next slide. Okay, we'll see if this works. Barring any tech difficulties, here is a little demo video on how it will work. And if we're struggling with sound, I actually have the link ready to send to you guys.
It worked earlier when we tested it, Jody and I, right before, but now, now the
No,
sound.
it's totally okay. But just to give you guys a little rundown on how it is, this basically is a little demo video, and I put the link in the chat box. So if you want to watch it on your own time, please, I highly encourage it. It's only 2.5 minutes, so it's really quick, and it will basically walk you through all of the 6 steps. So you'll see a little preview of what making that annual commitment looks like. You'll see what the menu looks like of selecting your skills and competencies, and that different scales that I mentioned, where you either feel that you have that skill or competency, or you're just beginning at that skill or competency. And then it will pull up basically what our placement brochure is, that you'll be able to review, and it will show you what that menu looks like when you're rearranging your skills. But feel free to watch that on your own time. It just gives you a visual. Next slide.
All right. So how does the tool affect, oh, are we going to try the video again? Okay. So how does this affect our current placement process? So in the past, our members would need to go through catalogs and comb through committee descriptions to kind of find what was really the best placement for them, but there wasn't really a truly effective way of sorting or searching the brochure. So the idea behind the placement matching tools is to streamline the process quite a bit. The matching tool allows members to filter through the available league placements and refine searches based on desired skills and competencies, as well as your availability. So members can now filter through those placements and refine their searches. It also enables our league to find placements that are intentional and meaningful for you, the member. So through the placement matching tool, you can identify the learning experiences that you want to develop, and then you communicate that to the league through the tool. Once the tool is implemented and runs its tool magic, the platform guides you through that 6-step process like we've alluded to earlier, and you get to choose things like your level of involvement that you are capable of committing to that year. So using Claire's example, you're able to commit 20 hours a week one year and then only maybe 2 hours a week the next year. You can input that kind of options into the placement matching tool to help refine the searches that are then suggested to you. You can also identify the learning experiences that you want, and like we mentioned before, the skills and competencies. The placement matching tool then uses its algorithm to suggest the placements that align with your interest and the time and energy that you're available to commit to the league and that placement for that particular year. I want to also point out that at this time, this tool is only intended for non-leadership or committee level positions. So what that means for our league at this point is that it will be available for the spring lottery of next year, but not for the leadership registration. Next slide, please.
So we did want to provide a little snapshot of our placement brochure because it looks a little different. And if you're not participating in fall lottery, you might not have taken a look at it. But we still are putting together these brochures. Even though we're going to be using the tool and that will be a resource for you during spring lottery, we still want you to have the access to look through all of the placement options and see what's the right fit for you if that's how your brain works and you feel like utilizing that. So here on the left, our placement brochures will have a page like the one on the left for every council. So it will have an overarching description of what the overall council work is and an org chart of all the committees that participate on that council. Notice that there are some in red. Whatever brochure you're looking at, the committees highlighted in red will be part of that placement process. So it will look a little different whether you're looking at fall or leadership or spring. This is a sample from spring, so you can see there are a lot of committees that are available. And then there will be a committee page that resembles the image on the right for all of those committees in red in the org chart. So here we have annual campaign. The position is committee member. There are 5 to 7 of those available for next year. It has a description of what they do, but you can also dive deeper into the specific responsibilities you'll have, the time commitment. Eligibility is a great space to look. There are a lot of different positions that may require you to have time on the committee before you participate in a certain role. And then at the bottom, insights and experiences will add any extra information you need to know about the experience. And then those skills and competencies are listed on the bottom right-hand side of the page on every page. And these skills and competencies are directly from AJLI. So we have included the specific definitions for them in the appendix of each brochure. So if you're curious about why these skills and competencies are popping up or what they mean, if you're not sure when you're actually using the tool, please go look at that appendix because it will break them all down for you. Next slide.
All right, so what does all of this mean for you, the league member? These are the different ways that you can help us roll out this new placement matching tool. Step one is to be patient with us. Over the next few months, we'll be doing a lot of work to make sure that this tool can actually roll out for the spring lottery, which is fast approaching. So what we've been doing behind the scenes are updating all the placement matching brochure, or all the placement brochures rather, and collecting all the necessary data that we would need for the placement matching tool. So to that end, I want to send out a big thank you and big hug of appreciation to every chair and every VP that has really helped to support this initiative so far. A lot of the information that is appearing in the brochure, that is appearing in the placement matching tool, is completely new information that has never existed in our previous brochures. So we necessarily needed a lot more help and support from the various league leaders. And thank you so much for really stepping up and helping us support that initiative. And finally, we're also going to be implementing and configuring the placement matching tool for use of the spring lottery. So it's not just enough that we have the information, now we need to put it into that software. So that will be coming live soon. AJLI will open access to us in the coming days or weeks, I believe. So we will be hunched over our computers over the holiday break, working to make sure that that all comes together. Step two, get excited about the tool. Hopefully this presentation has kind of at least piqued your interest a little bit about what this tool can potentially do for you and your league experience. And then finally, when spring lottery comes around, use the tool itself. We hope that once lottery opens and it's your turn to get involved with the placement matching tool, you can perform an honest assessment with yourself of the skills and the competencies that you either want to develop or that you already have, and that you can truly embrace the changes and support our league efforts to show how we operate. This is an exciting new tool that's been promoted by AJLI, and I think it'll be a really great asset for our league at large. So really the success of this tool we can do all the back end work, but the success of this tool largely resides on you, the member. So we hope you guys like it. Next slide, please.
So lastly, mark your calendars. The spring brochure and leadership brochure will be available at the end of January. Again, we've just highlighted spring here because that is where the new placement matching tool will come into play, but leadership lottery will still happen as normal. Registration will open on March 23rd, close on the 15th, and your emails will be released with your placements on May 6th. Next slide.
All right, guys. So that was a lot of information that we just threw at you. We imagine you probably have questions. If you don't have questions right at this second, you may have questions later. So if that's the case, please feel free to reach out to jldmembershipservices@gmail.com. We will continually be providing updates along the way up to spring lottery so that all of you guys can stay informed with our progress here. So this is the first step in a really exciting journey, and we're looking forward to continuing that conversation. Please feel free to either ask us questions now if time permits. I don't know that it does, or barring that, please feel free to send an email to jldmembershipservices@gmail.com at any time. We're happy to answer.
And thank you for having us. And great job, Kelsey. We love the speaker.
Yes, so great.
Awesome. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Claire. This is so exciting to see this moving forward. And I'm just amazed at how quickly you and your team have moved on this. It's bringing us into the 21st century, I think, as far as our process goes. And it's a part of our strategic plan, and just really excited to see it moving forward. If folks do have questions, if you could drop them in the chat, and then we can make sure that they get over to this team and maybe answer them in the chat this evening, or follow up with them if you have other questions later on. All right, I'm going to turn it over now to Jacqueline Van Oyck, our fundraising VP-elect, for some updates from Funco.
Hi guys. First I want to apologize that it is so dark in my room and you can't see me very well, but yeah. So I just wanted to give a few updates on fundraising. We have a lot going on right now. So just kind of wanted to give you some recent news. The first thing is about our holiday mart. So if you guys haven't heard already, due to the safety of our members and our merchants, we decided to move our holiday mart to a virtual format this year. But what's really exciting about it is that we can reach a larger audience, but also the Holiday Mart is open through December 31st. So we opened on Friday, and you can shop at milehighholydaymart.com all the way through the next month. Because we had to cancel our in-person event, we shifted some of our fundraising development credit opportunities. So this will apply to both provisional members and active members. So an option for a fund development shift this year is for what we're calling shop and share. So if you spend $100 at one of the merchants or a couple of different merchants at Holiday Mart, and either you share on social media or email at least 5 people, we will give you a fund development credit for participating. So we will have a Google form that you can fill out. So just make sure you save your receipts, and you will be able to see if you share our Holiday Mart stuff on social media. But if you do email, please save your emails so that we can track that. We are going to have other opportunities for fund development credits later this year. So Journey is still coming up. Kitchen Tour is still coming up. We're going to try to figure out some thank you note shifts to write, because those are always a pretty big need come springtime. So be on the lookout for those other fund development credit opportunities in the coming months. So another thing that is coming up is Colorado Gives Day. So it's on December 8th. And we are just kind of putting it on your radar so you can think about it early. Donating even $5 on Colorado Gives Day makes a huge difference for our league. And also, we wanted you to be aware of another opportunity. You can sign up for a recurring donation of $19.18 each month to come to the league. And so that's another great way to give. And it's a small kind of chunk out of your paycheck each month. And we are also asking members to share why you are donating to the league on Colorado Gives Day, to kind of spread the word about some of the great work that we've been doing this year and how we've been, trying to pivot with COVID. Next slide. Okay, so a couple of other opportunities that we wanted to talk to you guys about is we're doing a holiday card fundraiser through Minted. So if you go to minted.com/holiday and then use our code, you'll get $20 off your order, and then also the JLD will also receive 15% off the order in return. So that runs through the rest of this month and then also December. So if you're ordering your holiday cards, that's a great way to support the league. And our next one, we are still doing our popular Birdsall event with wreath making this year. So we have 3 different dates, and they're all going to be virtual. You will need to coordinate pickup of your supplies for wreath making with Birdsall. So it's just off of Broadway, I believe. So we are going to open up some more spots on the 2nd and 3rd, because right now I think they're all full. The 8th is still open, but like I said, be on the lookout for shifts that are, or not shifts, but opportunities that are open for the 2nd and the 3rd. And the last one, just a reminder that we have 6 wonderful cookbooks that you are able to buy, and they make great holiday gifts. So if you guys have any questions about cookbooks, feel free to reach out to Fundraising Council or the Cookbooks Committee. If you buy all 6 cookbooks, then you will get a fund development credit as well. So I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacqueline. And we had a question in the chat that you can definitely answer, or I'm happy to take it. But just how are we raising money through Holiday Mart given the switch in format?
So a majority of our profits from Holiday Mart come from vendor fees. So I don't believe that we are doing a portion of sales this year. So because of the shift, it's really great if we have more participation in Holiday Mart. So we're supporting these small businesses.
Yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
have anything to add to that?
You hit exactly right. So most of our fundraising in an in-person show or in the virtual show, a lot of the money that comes to the league is through that vendor participation. They pay fees to participate, and we're very, very fortunate. We have, as of last count, over 65 vendors. That was last week, so that could have even increased since then, that paid to participate in the virtual show. So really our task now is to have a good, successful show for everyone, where our vendors want to keep coming back every year and appreciate the shift that we had to make. Great question, Valerie. Any other questions for Jacqueline about any of the fundraising information that was shared? Y'all have any more? Yeah, we have the address to Birdsall. We also have the code for Minted in there. And just want to say hats off to our fundraising council for everything you all are doing. I feel so excited to order my cards and to be able to shop virtually safely at home for Holiday Mart, and just really, really appreciative that we're able to move forward and still do some stuff, even given our current circumstances. One last question. Do we have to use a code for Holiday Mart when ordering online to know we're shopping via JLD? I think I know the answer, but Jacqueline, do you want to?
I don't believe we have a code.
Yeah, I think some of them I've seen might have specific offerings that they have that are clearly marked, that if you use a certain code, you can get a percentage off, but there's not kind of a blanket code that you have to use to access folks. It's just going to the linking through to the individual websites. Awesome. All right, keep the questions coming if y'all have them. I'm going to turn it over now to Benda Holder, our Hugs chair, who is going to share with us about our Shining Star Award.
Hi, everybody. So excited to be here and so excited to present our Shining Star Award. Just one note before we get to the award winner. So everyone knows you can nominate a Shining Star at any time. The nomination form is on the website under the forms, under resources and forms, and then Shining Star Award. So anyone can nominate someone at any time, and we'd love to see your information and your nominees, because you're all seeing ladies doing amazing things, especially now. We're getting more amazing by the day. So send those nominations in, and maybe you'll see yourself or one of your friends next month. So next slide. So our winner for November, and I don't think she's actually on, or if she's on, she's not on with her own name, but is Lorana Mont, and she is the Professional Development Committee Chair. She's doing an amazing job, and I'd like to just read a little information about her and her nomination. So what led to the nomination is Lorana's efforts in leading us through a successful leadership kickoff event. It was the first large hybrid event, and Lorana didn't skip a beat with all the various challenges that arose during the planning process, some of which occurred as little as 30 minutes before the event started. She was always focused on how to solve the problem and make the most of our situation rather than on the challenge or worrying about what we couldn't do. Her leadership helped us pull off the most well-attended leadership kickoff event we've had since we began hosting those events several years ago. And she also led the way for us to host more hybrid events in the future with more than 30 minutes notice. So every event will be easy after that. So I'd like to give her a big hand. Even though she's not here, she can hear us, I'm sure. And an award will be making its way to her soon.
Thank you so much, Benda, and congrats to Lorana. Yeah, we'll send her the recording so she can see all of us clapping and cheering and celebrating her. And just to reinforce what Benda said, would love for folks to nominate. It's so exciting to get to recognize our members and to hear about what's happening across the league in all years, and especially this year where we don't get to see each other as much. So encourage folks to submit your nominations, and we'll have these at upcoming GMs as well. All right, so just two quick announcements, both coming from me. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Jody, Tiffany Dinez is our nominating committee chair, and she was not able to make it tonight. So I told her I was happy to share on her behalf. If we want to go to the next slide, wanted to remind folks that our nominations for the board of directors is open right now and will close on Friday of this week. So Friday, November 20th. You have a few more days to get those nominations in if you haven't already. You are welcome to nominate a fellow JLD member or self-nominate. And really just want to reinforce that there is no wrong way to nominate. They love, love, love if you're nominating each other. They also love if you're nominating yourself and throwing your hat in the ring. So there's no wrong way to nominate. And please consider if joining the board of directors or pursuing potentially joining the board of directors might be something that you're interested in and is in your future, or think about the folks that are around you that might be the amazing next group of leaders for our league. Interviews this year will be virtual for the first time. They're going to run from January 3rd through 10th. And then you can find more resources on our JLD member page under resources and the nominating committee. We also have it on the banner on the main page when you log into your member account so that it's easy to find. And if you have any questions, email the folks over at JLD Nominating and they can get your questions answered. So Friday of this week, November 20th, make sure you get your nominations in before then. And then Jody, now we can go to the last slide, last announcement. Want to also make a plug for something I'm excited about, which is our next general meeting. It's going to be just shy of 3 weeks away. So we have a quick turnaround on this one, but we are going to have a holiday general meeting, virtual holiday general meeting on Saturday, December 5th. So we're going to do a holiday brunch from the comfort of our own homes, and we're still going to have fun doing it. But we are going to bring some festive updates to all of you, look at some holiday brunch options that we could make with our families over the holidays. We're going to get a really exciting update from our Future Focus committee, who's been leading that work over the last couple of years, and also have a panel of past junior league presidents. So get your best holiday attire, as festive as you want to be. We'll have more information coming out about that, but go ahead and register. We're going to send out an update for folks that are registered about a week prior with some recipes that we're going to be making and other tips for that meeting. So go ahead and register if you're interested in coming and plan to join us for brunch from 10:30 to 12:30 on Saturday, December 5th. So with that, Jody, is there anything else that we missed or that we want to add?
No, I think we're good. Just a reminder for people to update your Zoom name. Melanie had mentioned how to do that at the beginning, so we can make sure that everybody gets credits. So if you can update that, make sure we have your correct name, that would be great. Otherwise, I think we're good.
Jody, I think that's a wrap. Thank you everybody so much for being here. We'll see you on December 5th, if not before, at another virtual league event, and hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving and stay safe and well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes. Bye, everybody.
Have fun.